Hey everyone, my name is Dayan and I've been an experience designer at Red Experience Design for almost 2 years now. Welcome to a new video series that we call UX Review. Now, I've always been fascinated with finding new products and examining their usability and experience problems. Through this series, we will be doing exactly the same thing and suggesting a few fixes that we think might actually help here. So today, we're going to get into the UX review of an application called Microsoft Teams. Here's the team at Red who will be offering their thoughts on this. Hey guys, why don't you start by introducing yourselves? Let's start with Sean.
Hey, I'm Sharan. I'm the founder of Red Experience Design, and I'll be offering my thoughts on Microsoft Teams having tried a whole bunch of other products to help run the studio. Cool.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Karthik, an experience designer at Red, and I'm excited to be sort of digging into how Teams work and how our experience has been using Teams for the past few months.
Awesome.
Hello, I'm Guru Prasad. Been working in Red for over a year now. Initially, myself and Sharan started with the concept of having Teams, and I was doing some research on how it can help us shift from our previous platform, which is Basecamp, and we'll be glad to share our thoughts with you.
How about we start with the whole onboarding experience that we went through while we had just started using Microsoft Teams as a company?
I've got a whole lot of things to say on that front. The way we started was to actually try out the Microsoft Teams on the free trial because we weren't really sure whether it would work for us. So when you're doing this, it turns out that Microsoft actually creates a temporary account for you within the system, and then when you try to migrate to your permanent account, it's one nightmare that comes in after that. Because I used my original, my actual email address to register for the trial, because I thought that would be the same path to the permanent registration.
Sure.
But it just turned out like that was a mistake. And you should probably try it out with a trial account first, and then sign up fully on the real account.
Right.
So I actually was able to solve this only by getting in touch with the customer support service and then making the whole thing be done again, and a number of articles that I had to go through. So onboarding is definitely not smooth with Microsoft.
Yeah, I remember troubling you and Guru, you especially having you send me an invite twice, and then Guru to help me onboard onto the thing, because for like a few minutes, moments, I was like, shoot, I do not know what to do with this application right now. It's something really new, and that's how the onboarding experience for me.
I had a smooth experience because I already had a Microsoft personal account. My experience was I was literally offering tech support for everyone to sign up with Microsoft. And if you take any digital products, even people who are well versed in using Apple products or Google products, it shouldn't be that case at all.
I think one thing that is a bit interesting and some might consider a pain point is the fact that in the name of multi-factor authentication, they expect you to have an authenticator app on your phone, which was great when it's one time. But what I've been facing is on random occasions when I try to open it on my phone after not having access for quite some time, it just logs me out and says, please enter the OTP on your authenticator account. And that ends up being a pain point. But what is a bit bizarre is if I just close the app and then open it again, it doesn't ask me anymore. So I don't understand how it works exactly, but asking me to download another app in the middle of in the onboarding process is something that I found to be a bit annoying.
If we had to fix anything about the onboarding process, or at least suggest, as to how do we fix it, what would you guys suggest?
No, it's definitely a good thing that they're trying to do this multi-factor authentication, and I even like their vision of getting rid of passwords altogether in the future. But I think we're at this phase where we are not used to not having passwords, and having to use authenticator apps and these kind of things is unnatural at the moment. So we are at that transitory phase where people are not used to what the new norm is.
So I was just thinking about it, and I realized that at least off the top of my head, I can't think of another way to do the multi-factor because if they're going to email it to me, that's still not as secure because someone who does have access to my system is going to have access to email because I think at this day and age, nobody ever signs out of their email on a regular basis. So I'm going to be signed in. Right. The other one is going to be an OTP, which anyway would require my mobile. So I can't see, unless and until they start integrating like your biometrics with apps, so I can just, for laptops, to enable it. But again, that's a very small number at this moment. So unless and until they have something like that where it's biometric or maybe your webcam for retina and something like that, I think that in terms of security, this is a good step forward, but in terms of user experience, yeah, it is 2 steps back.
Yeah, I mean, following up with what Sharan had mentioned before is people take time to adapt, or for me at least, I did even set up my Google with Google Authenticator. Now I cannot sign up with my Gmail without Authenticator. I did the same for Microsoft. I feel like me entering a 16-letter password, rather than that, it will just show 3 numbers and you will have a number in your screen. You tap the number which shows on your screen and you're done. So I don't need to type 16 letters. Instead, I just need to unlock my phone and select one out of the 3 options. But that is something will take time because people are just used to typing passwords, right?
Yeah.
I wonder what you guys feel if it happened in such a way that they allow you to sign up with a password because you're familiar with it, and then take it down the 2-factor authentication method, just like probably Gmail also does right? Wouldn't that just simplify? You got your sign up done without any kind of hurdles, and then you added the security layer, and then you phase out even the password if you want. So I think they haven't planned the transition phase very well at the moment.
So I was talking about our experiences with regard to communication in our meetings that we have on the platform itself. Scheduling a meeting, adding it to a calendar, inviting people to a particular chat or a channel. That part of our experience with the application. What do you guys suggest? How has it been for you all this while?
I think sort of one part of that which I like is it follows something similar to Slack, whereas you have a channel for a project, but then you have multiple sub-channels under it. So if there are points of discussion that we need to have with Sharan, then we could have it on another channel. But if it's just discussion amongst ourselves and it doesn't necessarily need to be disturbed by a lot of notifications, then we just have it on another channel. So it makes all of that a lot easier. But one thing that it might be that I just haven't figured out how to do it, but when I'm trying to have a meeting and I want to add people, but there's a separate private channel that I have inside a team, it doesn't allow me to add that channel automatically. I need to add the participants individually. Mm-hmm. It only shows me the open channels. One of the private channels that I have created and I'm a part of pop up when I try to create a meeting. So that is a point of concern because it's easy when right now we just have teams of 3 or 4 people, but when it's bigger organizations where there are private channels with 16 people, I can't go ahead and keep adding 16 names or emails.
Yeah. One more thing that I find really good about having channels is that it contains your conversations, your meetings, your files and documents, and your other integrated applications to the topic of that particular specific channel. It's not all haywire. So instead of getting sidetracked with random emails or getting stuck trying to clean up your inbox, you're focusing on a particular and giving your attention to a particular valuable space and spending your limited time on these channels, right? Which I think makes us way efficient than your other. Sharan, what do you think?
It's definitely a huge step forward from Basecamp. I think that was one place where we had to keep switching. It became quite annoying. I like this in Teams. There's this activity thing and the chat, the segregator. So it actually drives me into a specific chat, or at least the activity gives me one view of all the conversations that are occurring across projects. So if you're, which I think is everybody, right? Everybody is on multiple projects, and they have to have a view into a bunch of things. And that I think the activity tracker is actually what helps solve that problem for me. With Basecamp, I would just get a notification and I had to drive, get that notification bar, open it up, find out where the chat is happening, go to that chat. It's stuck in the 80s. You guys weren't even born in the 80s, so but that time before you guys were born. So anyway.
The thing is, add-on is even under chats you have threads or sub-comments. So you post a message and you can comment on other things. So it gives like an in-depth detail of what comments are being sorted for which notice. One improvement I would have done is sort of like an ability to pin the message on top when I enter a channel if there is an announcement of sorts or a file which I would like to share with everyone.
Yeah.
And myself and Karthik were actually figuring it out. It wasn't possible.
Another thing that I think is really, really good is, I mean, a company that have people speaking multiple languages in a big company, and someone who's comfortable in typing with their own language, you can translate that comment or that part of your chat within the channels and within the chat feature. Do we have any suggestions as to like if we can make this better, if there's any issues with the current platform with regard to channels and chatting?
I'm not.
Sorry,
go ahead. Okay. So I'm not sure because I've tried messing around with the notification settings, but what it does is in Teams, unless and until somebody has tagged the channel itself or has tagged me, I don't get a notification in my activity. I have to open Teams and it just highlighted saying that some conversation is gone. And I've been trying to figure out, it could just be a glitch because I've noticed that a lot of people say that it's not 100% perfect. So some people do have glitches. So it could be one of that. But I think then what it means is any message I type out, unless and until I've tagged something, it's not going to go reach anybody. Yeah. So just basic things like if it's a broadcast across the channel, I don't have to tag the channel for everybody to be notified. I should just put up a message and everybody should receive it. And another one, I think right now you can only do it with a widget, which is to be able to hit reply to a person's message when I'm having a chat. So if they've sent me 3 separate messages on chat and I need to reply to each one separately, I usually end up doing it in just the order in which they've sent it rather than being able to click on one and hit reply and it does what WhatsApp and other things does. There's just a quote widget that I tried using, but it's not that great. So those
just
are things that I
think that Karthik, yeah, I had the same problem, but apparently they have reply option in their mobile phone. You can do similar to your WhatsApp interaction. Yeah. But when it comes to desktop, they don't have that at all. I tried finding it.
Mm-hmm.
Another gripe that I have over here is that the post and the chat looks the same. The post has a reply, but not the chat message, which is really strange. And I've ended up using the post like as if I was chatting. But it's really actually meant to be really different. The small little thing, I think the interface should slightly change between what is a post and what is a chat, so that you're aware of it. Yeah.
And coming down to meetings and chats, I think we're really grateful for the background images capability and adding our own memes and gifs and all those things, right? And especially like reacting to someone's message or post, thumbs up or a heart.
That really, what I like about Microsoft Teams is this video. Just like in your case, then as you're moving around, the video kind of focuses on you.
Yeah.
At least in my view, that's what's happening, and that's really cool as a feature. I think the fact that it's keeping the face in mind, and it's really thought of as a video conferencing tool, not just a video stream like most approach it. I really like that about Teams.
Yeah. Sharon, you were earlier talking about how calendar integration is useful. Do you want to explain a little more on that?
It's useful that it exists in the same place, and I think my calendar view actually gives me all my events across all the channels that I'm participating in. So that is definitely a useful feature to see it all in one view. But what maybe this is only a problem for companies like ours, where we are maintaining our email using another platform, but the rest of it is here on Teams. For such a company, we are also getting invites and accepting invites on other channels. But it's not reflecting here. So I'm literally having to maintain two calendars now. So when I have to confirm with anybody, I have to check two calendars and confirm whether it's possible or not. And the funny thing is, when we get invites from other companies that are using Teams, it doesn't just show up on on our Microsoft Teams calendar. I have to manually create another event which reflects that and add that invited link as the link here and mention to everyone saying that please use this link, not the one generated by Teams on our side. It's a little crazy that that's the case, because my email address is actually available to Microsoft here. So why don't they just add that, even if I'm not routing my emails through Exchange?
Right.
But sort of what's interesting is I got an invite like that, and but once I did attend it, because I opened it on the app, that event is now saved saying that I did attend it, and all the conversations that happened in the chat and things are stored later on the app.
Mm-hmm. Funny, it's true. Yeah. So why didn't it recognize it ahead of time? I have no idea. Yeah. So anyway.
One thing is definitely a problem. I agree with Sharan, is maintaining two calendars. But going back like 2 months or 3 months before, what we used to have is different projects in Basecamp, and under project we'll have meetings. So you have to go to each project to see what your schedule is like. And there's Google Calendar invite from your clients for Microsoft Teams and also Hangouts invites. And if I sync my Basecamp calendar for a project to Google Calendar or Google Calendar there, it's not reflecting or updating on a constant basis. That is something I have to do manually each and every day so that I can see these other meetings I have. But from maybe 5-6 pages or calendars, we have reduced to 2. I think it's definitely we are moving forward. But it'll be good if we just have one entire calendar for everything.
Yeah, I'm definitely missing fewer meetings now, so that's a positive thing.
But I think sort of one thing that we should bring up when you talk about meetings is how Microsoft deals with the audio, which is something that we've all been facing, because might be different in Western countries, because they use their vehicles use their horns very sparingly there as opposed to here. So every 5 minutes I'm going to hear somebody just honking on the street, and even if I don't have anything to say, just any odd background noise from my side mutes everybody because Microsoft assumes that I'm going to say something. And I've been trying to Google that, and maybe it's just not the right keywords that I'm putting in, but I've not been able to find somebody bring up the same problem. Or maybe it's just a simple way to figure something out with our audio settings. I'll have to take a look, but I think it's something that shouldn't be automatically enabled.
No, but I think this feature is definitely something that's very useful in another country.
Yeah.
I think from that perspective, it's been really nice, well thought through, and such a detail that they actually paid attention to. But definitely causing a problem when it transfers cultures, where we are constantly talking over each other. I mean, it's not as bad as the news channels, but still, sometimes you want to get in the middle and say something while somebody is saying a point that you agree with or disagree with. But that's definitely hindered by this feature.
I think by extension, one small thing that I'd like to see, which I think I've seen it only with Google Meet, which is just a simple command like a Control-D, Control-E to switch on toggle off camera and audio. So it's a lot simpler for me than, because if I'm working with multiple monitors and my mouse is somewhere else, I need to make sure that I bring it here, click on mute or turn on my camera. But just toggling with just keyboard shortcuts is something that I would like to see on this.
Yeah, personally, after using Discord or TeamSpeak, there is a hotkey where you have push to talk. Even when you're working in the background, you can just hold the button and talk. Here, sometimes if the person is sharing the screen and we are working in some Blender, it's just so slow for me to even unmute my mic.
Yeah. But one thing I noticed just now, Guru, when you were talking and you were muted, I think there's a frequent problem that we run into, especially if you're presenting, because you'll just switch over to the presenting surface and start talking, and somebody has to actually tell you I'm just wondering. I've seen this notification come up on the Teams when it says you're muted. But why don't they just add an audio tone to that so that you also hear that you're muted? You know, it would just simply solve the problem to know that you're muted. Anyway.
It's especially bad when your video is not on and you don't know someone's actually speaking.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, you're mute. You're just like not talking about anything. So yeah. One of the issues that I faced when it comes to files and documents is that I can't move a particular file from one channel to another, or I should duplicate a file and put it onto another channel, but like the changes in that particular file after duplication, they don't reflect in the other one. So, what are your thoughts about documents and files in Teams?
I think Sharan will have a lot of points to share here. With regarding to OneDrive and OneDrive Teams and personal OneDrive, it's very confusing. But please proceed, Sharan.
No, I actually ended up, the trouble was that I actually ended up signing for personal OneDrive because I wanted a place to stash all my backups. Plus, after that, we signed up for the work one, Office 365, which comes with OneDrive. And the file management is not at all straightforward. The chat files come up as a folder on my desktop, but I couldn't see the main folder where we were archiving all this stuff until Karthik and Guru sent me the link. So I had to be added to that.
I think I've been abusing that feature where it's if we're having a conversation and it's all feedback on the same file, it does this great thing which Basecamp didn't do, which is if all the files are named the same, it says there's already a file like this would like to replace or just make a copy. And I've been hitting replace all the time because it's easier, so nobody has to go back, and whichever version they download, it's always going to be the latest version.
Correct.
But like I said, it did take me some time to realize that there is a OneDrive section which has a separate OneDrive for me, which is the organization one, but then every channel or rather every team has a separate OneDrive section as well, which can only be accessed through that. And my desktop one, like what Sharan is saying, is my personal one, and my chats are not that one. So it did take some time to figure that out. But I think in addition to that, what's happened is I've sort of stopped completely using my notebook and pen to take notes at this point because everything is right here. So when there's a meeting going on, I just open up any of my OneNote or OneDrive apps and I can take notes simultaneously, and it minimizes my meeting window as well. So I don't have to worry about missing something that somebody is presenting.
What are your thoughts about the integration of these multiple other applications onto this one platform?
I honestly feel that's fantastic. The ability to get almost any app that Microsoft has in the 365, and you can pin it to your channel and make it available, like Planner and OneNote. These are all things that we've been doing and tagging in. And even the time tracking utility, which Karthik has talked about, which also appears in a very simple place within the app, within the interface. I like those aspects of it. It's been rather convenient.
Yeah, they have the most important apps or commonly used apps across companies. One thing we found interesting, myself and Sharan, when we were having a discussion, they had an InVision plugin, InVision Drawboard, where you just place some boxes and build like a quick prototype as we discussed. We don't need to do proper wireframes. And you can work collaboratively where multiple people can work in the same space. That was very helpful in terms of conveying ideas and thoughts, since we are all working from home.
I think, it's great that there's a variety of like plugins that I can add, but what also happens is it becomes difficult to figure out which ones are more legitimate and useful while the others are just a lot of noise, which is pretty much like all plugins that you have on Slack as well provide the same thing, where there's so much happening. And because at least that one also allows you to create your own ones, it's a lot difficult for you to track down and say, okay, so these are ones that actually are going to help me. This is just someone with time on their hands has just created this. But I think by extension, one thing that I would like here, which is extremely professional in my opinion, is the ability to create your own emojis and GIFs that Slack allows that this one doesn't.
Yeah.
So I think it just makes the platform a bit more personal because you're going to have your own reactions to things, which isn't necessarily going to help you with your work, but it adds a bit of fun to the platform itself.
We coming to the end of this, the first video of our new series. Do you guys have any, final thoughts, final points to tell anyone, if anyone from Microsoft is actually looking at this video?
Guys,
I think most of my points have been covered when Diane was questioning what could have been improved. But so far, I'm really happy that we shifted to Microsoft from Basecamp or Hangouts. Yeah.
Awesome.
I think, I mean, sort of to what I want to bring up is maybe it's not right to compare Basecamp and Teams because of the fact that they're two different. They aim to do two different things because Basecamp is a project management software, right, for the most part. So I get to onboard my clients as well, and I show them my progress, all of that. Well, Teams is purely just communication within your own team. So in that sense, Basecamp did that as well, which is why it was less of a priority for that. But I think, maybe including a few more internal project management features that I don't have to figure out and find, but just tells me that if you're looking to create a new project, these are the best tools out there that you can add, would be helpful.
I actually like the fact that the calendar, to-dos, and the video conferencing and the channels, these four things exist under one roof. I find that incredibly useful because I think we were trying to recreate this in pieces by using a bunch of tools before, which is no longer the case. I think I'm thankful for that. But the one improvement I would like is, for some reason, when I'm running Teams along with and doing work, it really seems to hog a lot of memory. It's especially true on the phone for some reason. That's something I think memory management is something that I think Microsoft should definitely look to do.
Yeah, so that's it, guys. It was really nice and insightful, hearing these points from all three of you. And I'm sure the audience that's going to be looking at this video will also feel the same. And
I like this format too. I think it's a good ping pong across everybody, and it's easier to explain what we're talking about rather than write about it. So this is definitely cool.
True. So until next time, until we meet you next time for our next video of the series with a new product, right? So thanks, guys. Thank you all for taking time and being here. So okay, cool. Bye bye.
Good, Diane. Nice project that you have going here.
Yeah.
All the best.
The discussion we had anyway. I mean, even myself, I was like language translation. I came across it. I never thought of using it. Actually, I'll go and use it because we had this conversation.
So,
All right.
all right. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.